Do you dread the question, what do you do? What's your major? What are you going to be when you get done with this? We get it all the time. It's one of the first questions people ask us when we meet them. They ask us at our children's extracurricular events. They ask us in social settings. The stranger next to us in the airplane wants to know, what do you do? If you get a little uneasy and you feel like you're going to have to defend yourself, if you feel like you're going to have to explain again what you do, why you do it, or why you've chosen that major, you might do, or getting ready to do, dirty work. Dirty work, according to Ashforth and Craner, is anything that is physically, socially, or morally tainted or blemished. Okay, so the physically dirty, they are people, this might be you get dirty when you work, or you deal with dirty. This is military, this is healthcare professions, this is a mortician, a homicide detective. And then there's the morally tainted, which is pretty cut and dry. We might have our opinions about this, and I won't get into those. But if you're in the mafia, you deal drugs, or prostitution is your career of choice, you do morally tainted work. But the socially tainted, that's unique because we give those people status in our culture. It requires a certain level of education, and it requires credentials that are difficult to obtain. But yet we judge them a little bit for what they do. Now, why do I want to spend some time on socially tainted or dirty? Well, a little bit because it's a little complex, and because I like for my research and the things I explore to be personal. I like it to explain or give voice to my family, to my friends, to my students. And the first time I wrestled with dirty work, I was in the first grade. Because when you're in the first grade, everything's really simple. It's on this side or this side. And then life happens, and you realize it's not quite that easy. So we're talking about the good guys and bad guys. And I learned that attorneys were bad. My classmates filled me in on they were the bad guys. You didn't want to be this person. And I struggled with that. I said, no, they're not. They're not bad. And I don't remember the details, but I remember this. They said they're sharks. And I said, sharks? Because a first grader knows we avoid sharks. They're predators. And they smell blood, and they seek blood. So I went home and I asked my father. I said, why do the kids call you a shark? Are you bad? And he looked at me like, okay, here we go. Not ready for this, but we'll talk about it. And he acted like someone who was pretty comfortable or familiar with getting the what do you do question. And he started to say, in every profession, there are people that violate ethics, and they do things, and they give us a bad name. But I'm not going to tell you that's why people don't like what I do. Because the truth of the matter is, I have a kind of job that when I do my job and I stay within the boundaries of ethics, I still make people very unhappy with me. Because the nature of what I do, being a litigator, is there is a winner and there is a loser. And how we define winning can get a little gray. It can get a little abstract. So now at this point, you might be saying, I don't do dirty work. I don't aspire to do dirty work. And so you think you should just leave, but no, hang with me. Because I'm here to tell you that you're interdependent on those that do dirty. If it's not you, if it's not your father, if it's not your friends, your students, you do clean work. You're proud to tell people. In fact, you're the one asking the question, what do you do? Because you're ready to tell people what you do. You need the dirty to stay clean. I'm going to share a story with you, and I'm going to withhold some information to the end because I want you to feel what I felt when I heard the story. Now, I'm going to tell you the story in first person, but it's not my story, but it's how it was told to me. And you tell me, do they do dirty? Are they clean? What do they do? I knew if they were committed to this, there was little or nothing the company could do to avoid a deal. That would mean that my opportunities to move up, my career development, it would be over. My friends were going to lose their jobs. I began to think through any rational reason for them to go away. This job had been like my second family. There are times in your personal life, I'm telling you, things are happening and your job, the people that you see every day, they're the only constants you have. I recall walking back to my office, recognizing our state of surrender. There was a quiet calm that it was finally over. Yeah, I do. I remember that energy exiting out my body through my feet, and I just sank into that chair. I don't think I'll ever forget that walk back to my office. Emotions were all over the board. I was very emotional. I mean, it had been an extremely difficult 4-month process, seeming more like 4 years. But I was relieved we were able to make a deal. I knew what that meant. My days in this organization, my friends, they were numbered. And I was sad I was no longer going to get to work with my colleagues. I figured, it was going to be like high school. You promise to stay in touch. College, we'll stay in touch, but you seldomly ever do. But then after listening to the new organization's leadership, I came out hopeful. Well, I was listening with my heart, not my head. I wish they'd been more forthcoming with their plans for others. Our people were professionals. They could have handled it. Well, nobody can prepare you for someone walking into your office and saying in 30 days you'll be terminated. And we don't really need you in those 30 days. How is it possible that 24 hours ago I was invaluable to an organization? 24 hours later, not at all to a new one. The hardest day was my last. I said goodbye to my department. I said goodbye to others, anybody that I could find. I was surprised at how emotional it was for me. I said goodbye to everyone. It took a long time. It was really hard. But when I got done, I just left. I just walked out. I didn't want to leave, but I didn't know what to say or I didn't know what to do. No, it wasn't leaving the organization. It was leaving the people. No, I don't have any anger, just sadness. Who are these people? Who is this person? Does this resonate with you? Is it a piece or some of what somebody you know has experienced? Are they men? Are they women? It's all men. It's a collection of quotes for men that do dirty. They're corporate executives. They're attorneys. They're accountants. They had a hand in the deal, and they financially benefited from the deal. Women, does that strike a chord with you? Can you resonate with that? I mean, I hear as it is, we make 70 cents on their dollar. But then it was kind of emotional. So Brene Brown says that stories are data with soul. And I liked it when she said that as a qualitative researcher. And I wonder, did my story give a soul to the soulless? To the shark? Do they have a soul? So what's my purpose in telling you this? Maybe to recognize the reality of doing certain kind of jobs and work, and how people feel maybe when they talk about what it is they do. A lot of times when we ask, what do you do? It's because we're ready to brag or we're ready to judge. And if you find yourself thinking, how do they sleep at night? Maybe they sleep just like you and me. Thank you.